Lilybeth and Six-Gun Annie. One day while at the stable, Lilybeth was preparing to take her horse, Crystal, out for a run. But for some reason, she decided to take Crystal out through the back of the stable, where she found herself back in Dodge City, where there was about to be a shootout between the sheriff and some outlaws who had come to town to rob the bank. And as she looked around, Lilybeth could see the curtains in the windows of the houses fluttering and the shops fluttering, but she could not see any of the townsfolk rushing out to help the sheriff. Lilybeth couldn't let the sheriff take on the outlaws all by herself, so she rode over to where the sheriff was standing and got off the horse and shushed her horse away. "Go, girl, get," she said as Crystal moseyed away as if the idea was entirely her own. And then Lilybeth stood side by side with the sheriff as they slowly walked towards the outlaws. "The name's J. Wesley Ann Harden," said the sheriff to Lilybeth, "but my friends call me Six-Gun Annie." "Well, good to meet you, Six-Gun Annie. Mine's Lilybeth." "Likewise," said Annie, as they slowly walked towards the middle of the street and straight into the jaws of death. Both sides drew at the same time. The outlaws shot wild as Six-Gun Annie and Lilybeth shot true as their six guns rained down fire upon the outlaws. And when the shooting was done, only the sheriff and Lilybeth remained standing. All the bad guys were dead. Then Sheriff J. Wesley Ann Harding, Six-Gun Annie thanked Lilybeth for the assistance and offered to make her deputy. But Lilybeth declined the generous offer, got back onto Crystal and rode off into the sunset, as Six-Gun Annie and all the townfolk who had all of a sudden rushed out of their houses and from their shops when the coast was clear to congratulate the sheriff, and they waved goodbye to Lilybeth. So then, after taking Crystal on a good run through the park, Lilybeth returned to the stable as she thought about her new friend, Six-Gun Annie, and wondered how things had turned out for her as sheriff of Dodge City. So she looked her up on Google, but could not find any mention of there ever having been a J. Wesley Ann Harden who was the sheriff of Dodge City. Thought Lilybeth. It sure looked like it was Dodge City. Well, back then all them towns looked pretty much alike. You couldn't really tell them apart. At least I never could, unlike today when every city is so unique and one of a kind. How many cities do you know would have a Domino's Pizza or a McDonald's or that chicken place? I mean, if you think about it, where else but New York City could you ever find a Domino's Pizza? That is why there is no place like New York City or Central Park anywhere else in the world, she thought to herself proudly, as she closed the gate to the stall and said goodnight to Crystal. And she wondered if she might someday run into one of Six-Gun Annie's descendants this far east, and she'd get to tell her all about her ancestor, the Sheriff J. Wesley Ann Harden. Six-Gun Annie to her friends, and the shootout at Four Corners, when two stood against many, and justice won out.